program. It's another Tuesday. The weather has started changing. It's quite cold where I am today. I don't know about others. Jasmine, how is the weather where you are?
Not too bad today.
Not
but yesterday
too bad
was,
today.
I think it was 2 degrees yesterday. It was horrible.
Well, it's about that here.
Yeah.
I think we should just brace ourselves. But I think this year we've had a lot of sunshine. We expected this cold a while ago. So yeah, I think that's all we've had. We should get ready for the cold. Anyway, as always, we bring into you our usual nutrition and lifestyle education tailored to people of African and Caribbean origin, what we call the Healthy Hearts program. Now, we've been doing this for a couple of years now. So if you are interested in learning or reminding yourselves about important nutrition and lifestyle topics, please do visit the CAN's YouTube platform, go to Facebook, and you will have access to all of our previous resources, ranging from type 2 diabetes to sickle cell to you name it. I don't think there's any topic we haven't tackled yet. And that is why today's topic stands out, because yes, when we talk about nutrition and lifestyle, we most often than not emphasize the diet part, and we don't do a lot of talks on physical activity. And so today we are shifting away from just diet or nutrition to delve into physical activity. And to do this is our registered dietitian, Jasmine Carbon, that most of us know, who's done all the research behind the topic. And so without further ado, I'm going to invite Jasmine to take us through today's topic. Please do bring all of your questions and myths and anything you want to know, share it in the chat box. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, please do drop your questions. We'll pick these questions and we will try to address these questions for you. So, Jasmine, please take over.
Thank you. Amazing. Can I check that we can see this okay?
Yes, and it is a full screen.
And it's not lovely. Okay, thank you. So, thank you for the introduction, Hibbah. So, has already been announced, we're going to be delving into or focusing on how nutrition can be used to help promote and facilitate better exercise from kind of 3 different standpoints. So we're looking at kind of low physical activity, moderate or 4 standpoints, high, and then kind of competitive as well, and how that might differ, and how and if your nutrition intake might change as a result of that as well. So we're going to be focusing, like I said, on looking at nutrition for exercise with particular focus on the Black African and Black Caribbean groups, because although we know that trying to implement increased physical activity, regardless of our background, can be quite difficult, there are definitely some added nuances and additional barriers that we face within the Black African and Black Caribbean community. So I'm going to kind of outline some of those first. And then we're going to look at how nutrition can also be impacted by any additional physical activity that you might want to do, or if you are in a point where you want to try and increase your physical activity as well. So we're going to be starting off with a brief overview of barriers into exercise physical activity, looking to understand if nutritional requirements change with exercise, discussing the benefits of health optimization in relation to exercise, and then to sum it all off and to tie it all together, got a little case study at the end as well, which will hopefully kind of tie in all the different topics that I've mentioned. So to start off with, I'm not going to bore you by listing out all the different reasons why we should exercise and we should kind of be physically active. But as I'm sure you're aware, these are just a few of the reasons as to why we should be physically active and trying to increase the physical activity and try and exercise. So one of them is that we can improve the quality of our sleep. And what we know is that the quality of our stage 3 sleep of our cycle, which is the part of our sleep cycle where we get our muscle growth, muscle repair, and just our brain repair as well, tends to happen predominantly within this stage of our sleep. And we know that by increasing our physical activity, being more active, that stage of our sleep is much more better. So, and that in itself can have a far-reaching positive effect on our overall health. We know that including aerobic exercise, so that's the type of exercise where you're breathing more deeply, you feel your heart racing a little bit more, in combination with weight-bearing exercises, that could be taking the stairs, lifting shopping bags. Doesn't necessarily need to be kind of carrying weights or dumbbells, but we know a combination of the two has a really great and positive effect on your HbA1c, which I'm sure is a familiar term from previous talks and sessions that you've heard from other clinicians and healthcare professionals. But just in case not, so HbA1c is how we monitor your blood glucose over the course of 2 to 3 months. And we know that weight-bearing exercises and aerobic exercises brings that number down. We also know that for people who have high blood pressure, and even if you don't have high blood pressure, but just being more physically active can help to reduce it. However, if you already know that you have high blood pressure, and if it's at a range which is kind of classed as extremely high, trying to incorporate more physical activity than you're otherwise doing might kind of put you at a little bit of higher risk of further health complications. So if you're not on any blood pressure medication, this would definitely be a really important time to look into taking or consulting your GP into reviewing your blood pressure and any blood pressure medication that you should be taking before then increasing physical activity. And then we also know that, kind of increasing physical activity is a way to burn extra energy that we might be storing, whether it's in our organs or within under or around our organs, within our organs, or just under the first layer of skin. So that can help to reduce weight and also reduce kind of waist circumference. And if we're trying to aim for weight maintenance, exercise can help do that as well. We also know that increasing physical activity and exercise is has a really positive effect in our insulin sensitivity, particularly if we're more physically active and exercise after a meal. So we can see that nice steady drop in blood sugars, which we like to see, particularly when it comes to type 2 diabetes and type 1 diabetes control. We know that just for our overall mental health and well-being, being physically active has shown really positive effects to kind of keep us calm. It's there as a stress reliever. We also know, as research shows, that it can actually help to clear some of the plaques that can develop in our brain over time due to environmental reasons, due to kind of diets as well that we might be having. So kind of being physically active is one of the ways that we can help to reduce plaque formation in our brains, which should help reduce the risk of developing Alzheimer's. And if we're moving more, it means that our we're promoting our gut to move more, and we're reducing risks of things like difficult bowel movements, constipation. So overall, that's going to improve our health and well-being as well. And just to also highlight that there's quite a long list, quite an extensive list of positive hormones that are released during exercise. Just wanted to highlight some of the ones here. So adrenaline, which can help to contribute to fat loss and fat burning. So that's really important when it comes to if there's a goal of weight loss or weight maintenance. Adrenaline is a hormone there which helps to promote the breaking down of fat, so then that can be used as energy. Testosterone in men and women is released, and it's there to help promote protein synthesis and repair and growth. So of course that's really important regardless of if you're trying to build muscle or maintain muscle. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor, so that's there to help stimulate the production of new brain cells. So that's kind of, again, really positive. And then we've got dopamine and serotonin, so the happy hormones, the happy, the mood boosters. So that's why when typically after a workout, after some exercise, after some movement, we generally do feel quite positive and good in ourselves. And that's because we're getting that release of dopamine and serotonin. And aside from the physical benefits of exercise, it is an opportunity to socialize, whether you're doing sports, team sports, or team activities or group activities, but it also might be an opportunity to be alone. So whether you're going to a class alone, kind of doing some yoga or Pilates, or if you're going for a walk by yourself, it gives you a moment to be by yourself, reflect, and enables some of those happy hormones to be released as well. So loads of benefits to exercise, but yet there are a lot of barriers to physical activity. Again, I could list the barriers. I'm sure we could all kind of give our own reasons as to why we aren't as physically active as we would like to be, or why we might have signed up to a gym membership but aren't using it, signed up to a class but aren't going. One of the main common reasons that I've come across within my profession is just not having enough time. So I'm sure this is probably another reason for yourselves. So I want to kind of go through that, but also some of the other nuanced reasons within the Black, Caribbean and African community. So specifically within the community, we often find that populations with a higher minority demographic have less access, less variety, and a poorer quality of facilities to enjoy and partake in exercise or increase physical activity. It might be that within our social circles, within our family circles, we've never seen exercise being part of a routine, whereas other counterparts might have going to football, playing tennis, attending gym, going Pilates to be quite a regular part of their routine. Whereas within the Black Caribbean and Black African community, this is seen less. So to then adopt it or to try and incorporate it into a routine can be quite difficult in itself, and would require quite a lot of getting used to as well. Just the logistics of being more physically active and extra considerations that us as a community will have to think about more, whereas other communities may not have to. Not to say that other communities don't wash, but just the kind of the logistics of, hair. How's my hair for the gym? Am I going to will this helmet fit me in this particular hairstyle? Those sorts of things. And is there a place to store if, if there is there an adequate place to change? Is it kind of gendered appropriately? So those sort of things to kind of consider as well. And also when it comes to food and nutrition, which is what we're going to go into more detail about, if you were to Google kind of healthy foods or nutrition for exercise, or even like meal plans around health, around exercise and nutrition, a lot of the meal plans and a lot of the examples you'll see don't include the foods that we are familiar with in our community, and that in itself can be a barrier, because it might be that one might feel they need to completely stop their traditional foods and then adopt a new way of eating in addition to trying to be more physically active, and that in itself can be quite overwhelming. So that in itself can be a barrier as well. So I hope this is quite a rough sketch, just to portray what you would expect to see as you increase your physical activity, and when it comes to the need for you to increase your nutritional requirements or even just change your nutritional requirements. So bear with me. If we look at this green kind of blue section, so at this point we've got a baseline physical activity stage where we might be going to the gym, but when there's nothing vigorous, it's kind of a bit ad hoc. There may not be a routine to it, or if there is a routine to it, there's not much pushing of yourself. You might be walking daily, kind of like day-to-day routine is quite physically active, but again, nothing that's kind of overexerting yourself. So the need to make food changes, changes to your nutritional requirements is quite low. It's not really there. But then as you start to be more active, as the frequency increases, as the intensity of the exercise increases, we see the need for those amendments for your food intake and your nutritional requirements does actually go up. And in the same way as we get to the competitive stage of exercise and physical activity, so long marathons, extensive bike rides, lifting, extreme weights, that's when we're getting to the point where the need to amend your food intake and your nutritional requirements does definitely change and does need to be considered. So if we go through each of these sections here and just to kind of focus on what would be the main priority for each of these sections. So for the person who is within a low to moderate level of exercise intensity, the main focus when it comes to your nutrition would be around healthy eating. And I'll come on to that and into what exactly that means, focusing on your hydration and also focusing on your sleep. So all the three of those together in combination with physical activity is what we essentially need. And that's kind of like the building blocks to healthy eating and health and well-being. So if you've kind of got those all in synergy, you're doing really well. And to help enable you to keep those as a priority, sorts of things you want to focus on would be your routine and your access to physical activity. So just checking how are you factoring in the days to be more active? Are you including that in your weekly plan? Are you checking, the different classes that might be available to you? Are you timetabling in your week? In terms of kind of looking at your shopping styles, so we want to try and eat more healthily, but what does that actually look like? So reviewing a shopping list, are you planning your meals in advance, or is it a bit more ad hoc food shopping? Are you relying on takeaways and fast food and processed foods? So we'd want to kind of make those swaps first before we make any larger swaps later. So try and get to a stage where you're eating healthily, where it's minimal processed foods, you're trying to kind of manage your portion sizes. You might be kind of preparing yourselves for meal prepping, but yeah, simple things like kind of like make sure you've got sufficient and appropriate containers, and almost start to build a bank of recipes as well. So foods that you actually enjoy and foods that you might be willing to incorporate into your diet. Those are the sorts of things you want to be focusing on while you've got a moderate to low level of exercise activity. So when we get to a stage of high intensity, this is where we start to kind of have to make those tweaks to what we're eating. We might need to consider more about pre and post exercise foods, and I'll come on to some examples later. And we might also need to think about energy and electrolyte replenishment during exercise and also after exercise. So we want to make sure the priority within this kind of exercise intensity is around foods and meals which are going to enable you to train for longer. You want to make sure that the foods that you are having. Hello,
Jasmine.
Yeah.
Quick question, just to provide a bit of context. What would you say are examples of high intensity exercise, and then the moderate one? Do you have some examples you can share?
Exercising 5 times a week would be considered as high for longer than an hour. Anything less than that, so less than 5 times a week, about half an hour to an hour, that'll be low to moderate exercise. So
if you do, say, brisk walking,
and low to moderate
targets, brisk walking, but say 10,000 steps a day, you do that more than 5 times a day, would that be low to moderate?
That'd be low to moderate. So that's kind of in the moderate sort of section. Yeah.
Right. So the high intensity would be hitting the gym and doing some real gym stuff.
It could be hitting the gym. It could be doing it could be weightlifting. It could be doing an aerobic exercise. It could be doing in high intensity. So like a HIIT class. I guess they're called high intensity. It could be cycling So like, but like spinning would be high intensity. It could be something which kind of yes. So if you're swimming for longer than an hour, then that'll be high intensity. If you're doing anything which requires quite a lot of impact, so it could be kind of, again, football training longer than an hour, rugby training longer than an hour, even dance longer than an hour. Yes. So apologies, I should have
then that's high intensity. That's fine.
And anything less than that, that's a bit more low to moderate.
Okay, thanks.
That's okay, thank you. So at this point, we want to try and focus on foods which are going to enable you to train for longer, aid and speed up your recovery, promote that muscle building, and also we like to look at the use of something called isotonic drinks, which is a way of taking in electrolytes to help replace those which we would have lost through sweat, essentially through sweating. And then competitive intensity. So this would be an example of like a marathon, 2 to 3 hours of cycling, 2 to 3 hours of swimming, full football matches, full rugby matches, MMA fighting, karate, kind of those sorts of periods of exercise where you are training intensely and you're doing it for the goal of kind of having an edge over a competitor or a team, or you're just trying to improve your own, to kind of beat your personal best. So there is a goal to it. At this point, you probably have to look at more strict meal planning and even potentially the use of things like supplements such as creatinine and branched-chain amino acids. I won't be focusing more on this. I'll be touching more on the low to moderate and high intensity exercises and how your nutrition can be adjusted to suit those. Any questions before I move on?
I don't see anything in the chat box. Does anyone have any question? No. Okay. No.
Okay, thank you. So what to eat? So like I said, familiar foods aren't part of stock meal plans. So it can be quite difficult to know what foods need to be changed when and why to match your exercise routine or the exercise routine you're aiming to get to. So this is where. So I'm just going to touch on a few of the major food groups. Not all of them need to be highlighted because of the purpose of this session, we're kind of focusing on exactly what does need to change and why. So carbohydrates, as we know, or as we may know, is essentially our body's favorite source of energy. It gives our muscles glucose in order for it to function and perform as it should, as we would want it to do. In the context of exercising, whether you're I guess it's if you're exercising for a long amounts of time, long periods of time, you want to try and make sure your body has that energy there to enable that session to happen. So the recommendation, or what would be recommended, is that you try to aim for some sort of carbohydrate snack about half an hour before your planned exercise session, and also then another portion of carbohydrates after that session. I'll get into that, examples of that in a moment. So no matter what your sport or what your fitness exercise is, we really need to focus on including carbohydrates in your eating and in your meal planning. Some people might opt for a low carbohydrate diet as a way to try and lose weight or control calories, but in terms of kind of how you'd feel after being physically active and after an exercise session, you probably won't feel great because you don't have that easy accessible source of energy there to fuel your body to enable you to do that exercise. It's really important to stay hydrated as well while taking carbohydrates, because that builds something called our glycogen stores, and they're within our liver and our muscles, and that's there almost like a backup. So if you haven't quite eaten enough, say if you are a morning gym person or a morning exerciser or a morning walker, you might find that you're actually are okay not having to eat something before you go and exercise, because you've got those carbohydrate stores already in your muscles and in your liver that your body can use to make sure that your muscles can actually function as you would want them to do. So a few examples of what we would want you to have before and after some sort of exercise routine is about 50 grams of carbohydrates. 50 grams of carbohydrates is quite difficult to visualize. So I've given a few examples. This would be about a fist-sized portion of, be it yam, sweet potato, or breadfruit, or any other ground provision. About a fist-sized full will give you about 50 grams of carbs. 2 palm-sized flatbreads, be it pita breads and chapatis, or 1 large injera will give you about 50 grams of carbohydrates. Also 2 large bananas, things like, so bread, cereals, oats, cooked pasta, 50 grams of pasta, and about 160 grams of rice. All of these, again, about a fist-sized full would give you the amount of carbohydrates your body will need to fuel the exercise you're about to do. One kind of a bit of contradictory information that contradicts me, I would say, is that we always try to promote people to have more fiber in their diet and more fiber from carbohydrates. So we would say brown rice, brown pasta, brown wheats. But if you're just about to do exercise, going for the lower fiber options are actually going to be more calmer and more gentler on your stomach, and it will also enable your body to get the energy quicker. So if you have planned to do some exercise, it might be that you opt for white rice or white pasta or white floured bread as opposed to the brown and the wholemeal, so your body can digest it quickly and then the energy is there ready for you to go and use it. When it comes to the competitive sports, so high and competitive, you would actually want to have a period of something called carb loading. So you would actually almost sometimes double or quadruple the amount of carbohydrates you would have on an otherwise kind of non-carb loading day. You'd need to do this 3 to 4 days prior to the event. And this is essentially a way to build up your glycogen stores. So build up all that energy within your muscles and within your liver, so that when you are doing that competitive sport, that high intensity sport, that long duration sport, your muscles are good to go and you've got the energy and the fuel to do it. This isn't, this wouldn't be necessary if you are just doing like a standard fitness class or going for a walk or playing a bit of football. It's for those exercise routines which require a lot of energy over a long period of time. So you need to almost like prep your body and make sure the muscles are nice and juicy and full of those glycogen stores ready for when it needs it, ready for the energy when it needs it. And then we also have so carbohydrates during exercise. When it's a low to moderate exercise, this is not necessary, and that's because the chance of you kind of depleting your glycogen stores, so that energy within your muscles and your liver, is very low. The chances are you probably will have enough glycogen stores to take you to enable you to get home, and then that's where it's important for you to have that snack, that energy source to replenish what you would have burnt. However,
Jasmine, could you repeat that? Because I think I lost you. Your internet was breaking up there. So carbohydrates during the exercise. Could you just repeat that?
Exactly. Yeah. So carbohydrates during low to moderate exercise as like a top up. So while you're doing while you're going for like a hour walk, half an hour walk, during a swim, during a 45-minute spin class, you wouldn't need a carbohydrate snack or drink during an exercise. And that's because you've already got the glycogen, the energy reserves within your muscles from the snack you've had before your exercise routine, so that you don't need the extra dose of sugar, essentially. If you were to do that, you're risking kind of taking in more energy than you would otherwise need. And if the goal is weight loss or weight maintenance, that's probably not going to happen. You're probably going to find that you are gaining weight. unnecessarily. So things like these sport drinks tend to have sugar in them. So if you're not exercising for more than an hour, the likelihood is that you do not need that. You do not need the extra sugar. However, if you are in a high intensity, you're exercising for more than an hour, it's really competitive exercise regime, you will need that energy boost because you are starting to deplete the carbohydrate stores you already have within your muscles and within your liver. Examples of sort of carbohydrate replenishing foods or drinks you could have, something like a fruit juice, or even something like sweeties, because it is pure sugar that your body can easily digest and utilize straight away. There are things like sports gels as well, which could be used, but if your body's not used to them, you're better off having something more as natural, being that natural in comparison, I would say. Something like a fruit juice or maybe a sports drink would actually be helpful there. But that's only in cases where you are exercising for long periods of time, competitively or very highly with very high intensity. So the majority of us don't need a sugar snack in between. That's what I'm trying to highlight.
That was just
yeah, we do not need it.
Thank you for highlighting that, because majority of us don't do high and competitive exercise. No, we might just fall within the low to moderate exercise group. So we don't need to be drinking or eating snacks whilst we are exercising.
Exactly. And then when it comes to protein, so another really important food group when it comes to exercise and nutrition, there's definitely a myth that the more protein you take, the more your muscles are going to build, which it has some truth to it. I guess your protein intake, your protein intake only kind of gets to a certain point. After that, if you're not kind of lifting heavier or being more active, you'll essentially excrete any additional protein that you are taking. So there definitely is a cutoff to it. The recommendation is more focused around protein after exercise. You can take protein before exercise. This is for those who are doing low to moderate activities, but you may find that it's not going to do any added good, but it's not as important as taking your carbohydrates before you exercise. Things like muscle soreness can be delayed and kind of be lessened by making sure you're taking adequate amounts of protein in your diet. But as long as you're having a balanced diet regularly, then you are more than likely taking in enough protein, which would suggest that you don't need any additional. So just some examples of the sort of protein sources you can have after your exercise. So the recommendation is about 20 grams, and 20 grams, if we use a part for your hand as a guide, is about 75 grams of lamb or beef, a small chicken breast, a fillet of fish, whether it's a steak or a fillet, a tin of tuna, about 3 medium eggs, a large can of beans, or like an open palm hand size of cooked or dried beans, and also 2 handfuls of nuts or unsalted nuts or seeds will give you the protein that you require after the exercise to make sure that you are promoting muscle healing, muscle growth, and preventing any of that soreness that you would get kind of after anything, after any activity where you might have pushed yourself a little bit further than you otherwise normally would have. So some other notable nutrients. So as I've mentioned before, when it comes to fiber, it's almost like we're going against the grain of what we'd normally say, which is high fiber, high fiber, high fiber. If you are exercising at a high or competitive level prior to that activity, you may want to opt for something that's lower fiber to ensure that your body can digest that food more easily and get access to the energy really quickly. If we are of a low to moderate exercise kind of frequency and activity, still opt for higher fiber food options. there's no need to change that at all. Fats, so whether we are exercising a couple times a week or every day, fats are still really important and do have a role within our routine. We want to more focus on kind of having diets which are a source of monounsaturates, so that's our plant and vegetable oils, low in saturated fats, so that's our ghees, butter, coconut oil and palm oils, and make sure we are getting sources of omega-3 through plants, plant oils, seeds, nuts, and oily fish. So that recommendation is a blanket across all populations, whether you are low to moderate or high intensity. As you get a bit more competitive, if we're at the competitive stage of physical activity, that's where it would change, and we'd have to look more at your specific kind of physiology. But otherwise, generally, your fat intake, we still want to kind of be mindful of how much fats you're taking. And then hydration wise, I've touched on this already. Again, so regardless of your physical activity, being hydrated is really important and is sometimes overlooked. We want to make sure that you hydrate prior to doing any activity, whether it's low or competitive. And that just enables, firstly, those glycogen stores. It helps that to be stored within your muscles and within your liver. It ensures that you, if you do perspire, it's a way to keep your body cool and just keeps the temperature of your body at its ideal kind of range. If we are at a point where we're exercising a bit more vigorously, a bit more frequently for longer periods of time, we would move from replenishing our bodies with standard water to something called an isotonic drink. And that's a fluid which would contain sugar as a way of getting more energy in. And it would also have a few electrolytes, so sodium, potassium, and we need them because we've sweated it out, we've excreted that through our pores. And the electrolytes is there to help keep everything balanced within our bodies. And then after you exercise, prevents things like cramps from happening as well. So yeah, really important that we keep ourselves hydrated across the board. But as we enter the high to competitive level of physical activity, you want to look at having some isotonic drinks involved as well. So do we need any extra supplements? Again, there's a myth that as soon as you start exercising, regardless of what intensity it is, you need to have extra protein. I hope kind of my explanation earlier made it clear that you don't. Taking more protein doesn't mean bigger muscles. Protein shakes, be it whey protein, pea protein, can be a convenient way to get protein in your diet. One scoop tends to have 20 grams of protein, which is, perfect. But it's not essential. If you are eating a balanced diet with sources of, be it animal protein or plant protein, you will be having sufficient amounts to make sure that your body can enjoy the exercise that you're putting it through. Creatinine, so this is meant to, as a supplement, this is meant to help to speed up muscle recovery. Again, that's something you wouldn't need to consider until you were at levels, quite a competitive level of physical activity, or you're doing exercise for rigorous amounts of time over, for multiple days a week. Similarly with branched chain amino acids. So the evidence around that is to help to speed up muscle recovery, avoid pain, avoid muscle ache, and to help to improve endurance as well of exercise. So anyone kind of taking these additional supplements might find that they can train harder for longer by supplying their bodies with the additional nutrients to keep them going for longer. But like I said, for the general public, general person who is doing low to moderate physical activity, these additional supplements are not necessary. So just to summarize that, so when it comes to nutrition and exercise, you want to be focusing on eating a healthy diet and focusing on good hydration and good sleep. You might want to consider meal planning as a way to ensure that you are eating healthier. You might want to look at pre and post exercise foods if you're doing high intensity exercises. Carbs and protein are both important when it comes to exercising at higher intensities. You probably need to consider a pre-exercise food, post-exercise food, and kind of being mindful of the amount of fiber within those carbohydrate foods as well. And it's also looking at the use of isotonic drinks are less important in those low to moderate physical activity sessions. But when you do increase physical activity, they do have a place, and they would, I guess, would be considered essential when it comes to replenishing your fluid intake and also replenishing your electrolytes. So before I move on, any questions on those? No.
Not yet.
No. So I thought we could bring this all together by kind of giving an example of someone who does do moderate to low to moderate physical activity, and what sort of things she would need to change in her diet to make sure that it's matching her exercise routine as well. So this is the case of, we'll call her Teresa A. She's just gone to have a health checkup at her GP, and she's been told that her blood pressure and her saturated fat is high, so benefit from a few diet and lifestyle changes. One of that being changing food intake, and also looking at increasing physical activity. She would already considered herself to be quite active, so walks daily, but is now quite motivated to increase this. And by doing that, she's actually done some research and has found a local aerobics class and is planning to go to swimming lessons twice a week. Food intake wise, she would describe her food as like British, with a mix of Caribbean foods and cooking methods. And in the web search didn't find anything helpful that will give her meal plan that would match her goals to increase her physical activity. So initially we'd want to look at reasons to, identifying and resolving any potential barriers. So looking at reasons to stay motivated. It's already been told that her blood pressure is high and saturated fats is high, so that's a reason to try and increase physical activity and stick with that. Looking at the week and seeing how a week's going to match around the fitness classes and the swimming lessons, and creating time around the physical activity as opposed to kind of fitting it in as an afterthought, because when it's done that way, it's more likely for it to be missed and not done and forgotten about. Thinking about the logistics of having a new exercise routine, so changing facilities, any potential barriers that might make it difficult to attend a session, or what might make it a bit more timely to get prepared for fitness session. And also, will this increased physical activity impact on anyone? No, that sounds a bit silly, but if someone is kind of used to, within their routine, they might be home at a certain time to prepare a meal for the household. If that's not going to be the case anymore, who's going to be taking on that role? So just thinking of the impact on everyone else within the household to make sure that you've foreseen any potential blockages that might prevent you from attending that physical activity session. Oh. Apologies. Okay, and then looking at, do we need new recipes, or can we just tweak existing ones? So it might be, so for Teresa Ray, she's already eating what she would consider to be a British diet with a few Caribbean foods and cooking methods. So it'll be focusing on the portion sizes and ensuring that what she's already eating is around a healthy eating guide, is around healthy portions and healthy quantities. So for example, it might be that she's currently having for breakfast cornmeal porridge made with carnation milk and sugar or muesli. We'd instead suggest keeping the cornmeal porridge the treat, adding fruits and nuts and seeds to increase her fiber intake. And it might be that she swaps to have some oat porridge or even more muesli in the week instead. If she's for lunch, she's having a bought meal deal with a full-fat milky coffee, we would suggest kind of switching to a homemade sandwich. It could be the same filling as what she would have with the shop bought meal deal, and then switching to a semi-skimmed or a skimmed milky drink instead. And then for evening meal, it might be that she's having something like rice and chicken with provisions with a small portion of salad. So instead, we would be aiming to have at least 2 meat-free days a week, reduce the proportion of carbohydrates, and fill the plate with vegetables first. So as you can see, she's just trying to increase her physical activity from low to moderate, then the changes to her diet aren't really kind of focusing on the exercise. It's more focusing on trying to get the healthy and balanced diet. And then if the physical activity was to increase more, then we can look at other changes that would directly impact the exercise in itself. And that's it. So if we've got any questions or comments, or would like me to go over anything.
Thank you, Jasmine. Are you going to stop sharing? So
yeah,
I'll join you and we have a discussion.
So my nose is very itchy. What's going on?
Do we have any questions? I have a question myself, but I wanted to check from the chat box. How many of us do any kind of physical activity? I wondered if, because I didn't see a couple of people on today, and I was just wondering if it's because people don't do physical activity, and so they can't be bothered.
That's why
but generally
highlight the barriers.
That's an observation I have made, and it's something we've spoken about before, that we don't see a lot of people within our community engaging in physical activity here in the UK. It might be different from the younger generation, but let me talk from my research point of view. So the people that I've studied as part of my research, people would just talk about the fact that there is no time, which you already highlighted. People are busy, working all day, weekends, and so people just can't have the time to prioritize, physical activity. I realize that within the younger generation, a lot more people are taking it more seriously. But for the older generation in the UK, I think that as compared to other population groups, we still don't do a lot of physical activity at all. Right. Now, having said that, I have a question, something that I get asked all the time. I just wanted to hear your thoughts about it. So why do people get hungry? You might have highlighted it, but I want you to talk about it again. When they start doing exercise, so why do they get a bit more hungry when they start exercising?
So I guess a few reasons. I would want to know, are they actually hungry or are they thirsty? Only because obviously if you're exercising more, you're dehydrating yourself. So I wonder if it's just a thirst kind of reaction as opposed to actual hunger. But people do tend to feel definitely more hungry as they're being more physically active. I've definitely noticed that in myself. I've been cycling a bit more than I would normally do, and as soon as I get to work after having breakfast, I am ravenous. I'm so hungry. So it's your muscles are burning fuel. They're burning more fuel than they otherwise would be, and that's simply the answer. And I would definitely listen to your body. So it's that you've burnt those kind of glycogen stores, like I mentioned, there's energy stores within your muscles, and your body wants to replenish them, wants to put that energy back in. So yeah, that's essentially what you've done there. Some studies have shown that it can actually increase your metabolism. So if your muscles are burning more, your the rate at which your body is having to burn energy reserves and create kind of energy for your body to use speeds up. So that in itself can have a knock-on effect on your hunger. Usually you've essentially just sped everything up. So there is definitely that hunger craving there. But I think it's important that when you are feeling hungry, you're not reaching for a convenience food, because then that just has a kind of a counterproductive effect, really. So you want to make sure what you are eating is something that's going to benefit your body. So is it a banana? Is it a smoothie? Is it a piece of toast, or it could be some boiled yam, or some plantain, or some egg? It could be, I guess that creates a bit more work and planning. But if you know you feel hungry after exercise, plan for it and have your snack there ready for you, so you're not reaching for a chocolate bar or a very high sugar milky drink or something.
Thank you for highlighting that, because I think in most cases when people haven't planned, then it just becomes counterproductive, because people just go back to eat, increasing their portions, and then at the end of the day, for people who are trying to lose weight, you don't see any weight loss. Now, my second question: there are people who would argue that they are eating healthy, they are doing their best to keep fit, but they're not losing weight, doing so well. I wouldn't say high intensity, but low to moderate intensity physical activity. Do you have any thoughts on why people would still not lose weight, or think that they are not losing weight in spite of the effort they might be putting into a physical activity regime?
Yeah, it could be that. I mean, our bodies are very clever at trying to keep us at one weight. So as we do if we're trying to lose weight, our body's kind of anchored at a certain weight. So it can take an extra push for us to notice any weight loss. Depending on the exercise that you're doing, it might be that you're actually building up on your glycogen stores. So you're not actually so effectively it's fluid that you're kind of storing a lot more. It could be that you're actually building a bit more muscle, so that in itself is going to weigh a little bit more as well. I think what's important to monitor, especially within our community, is not so much maybe the weight, but like your waist circumference, but also how you're feeling in your clothes. I think we need to get away from a weight a goal of losing weight, but focusing on how we're feeling in our clothes is can be sometimes a bit more of a motivation. Because if we keep going on the scales and seeing that the number's not going down, or it's staying, or it's going up, that can be quite demoralizing. Because like you said, you're trying hard, you're actually trying. But yeah, I think we need to stop looking at scales. I think we'd feel a lot happier.
We do.
Yeah. I know it's hard sometimes, because
thank you.
Especially me and clinicians, we definitely say, oh, how much do you weigh? But sometimes it's not as helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Jasmine. I like that point you made about building muscles, because indeed there is, and I think you did that session. I wasn't on that day, but you've talked about the limitations of using the BMI. So sometimes really, you might be losing fats, but then it would not show on the scale. And so I tell people not to worry too much. If you're eating very healthy and then you're exercising, then don't worry too much about the scale, because it's not it's used as a proxy, but it's not really the best measure of people's health or weight.
No, exactly.
Okay. Do we have any more questions? I think we just have a few more minutes and then we are done. Yeah, it's 3 minutes. Anybody? Seems really quiet today, so that we are not exercising. Who's going to start exercising? I'm just interested in your own story, Jasmine. What kind of physical activity do you do?
So my goal is to gym 3 times a week, and it ranges. So it could be from kind of stretches, mat work, and kind of using free weights to kind of going on cycles. When it comes to if I am at the gym, I can't do more than 45 minutes. I get bored and I get tired. So I also go in gym in the morning. So what works for me is to go to the gym fasted, and then I don't actually require to have any of the carbohydrate replacements whilst I'm exercising, because I'm not doing anything more than an hour. It's not too it's by no means high intensity. It's definitely a low to moderate. But then when I've gone for longer cycles, I actually did quite a long cycle a few weeks ago. I did have to do carb loading. I did have to prep. I did have to have carbohydrates whilst I was doing the cycle. So it just depends on what I'm doing, really. I try to keep a balanced diet, so I don't take any additional supplements aside from my vitamin D and B12 and omega-3. I don't take any sports supplements. I do have a whey protein supplement, but that's when I'm feeling particularly unorganized and lazy, and I know I don't have the time to have my 20 grams of protein after I've done a bit of exercise. So that's my fail safe. So that's my routine around it. So I definitely would put myself in the low to moderate physical activity individual, and I'm proud of it. If I did need to push myself further, then I guess I could do, but at the moment my routine doesn't allow for that, because it can take a lot of time, and there's other things I want to focus on. So I think as long as we're trying to be active and move around where we can, that's the main thing. But if we do push ourselves further, we don't necessarily need to make massive changes to our diet at the same time or at all, because when our routine hasn't changed that much, and our requirements wouldn't have changed as much. So I hope that's the main message I wanted to get out of this, really, is that if you're hoping to kind of increase your physical activity, you've been told to, don't think that you need to change your diet completely. Also, it's still healthy eating with just a few things to kind of be aware of. So carbs are still important, protein is important, hydration is very important, and sleeping, it's important too.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. You've summarized that nicely, and it's just time for us to bring the session to an end. So thank you. Your physical activity that you just described is really admirable. Thank you, Jasmine, for the insightful presentation. I like exercising outside and not in the gym. I'm just like you. I also just want to go for walks. I don't have that kind of structure Jasmine has, but as long as you're doing some physical activity, that is what matters. What works for you? Absolutely. What works? Look at your own schedule and just move. Do some movement. Okay.
Don't underestimate the power of dancing.
Thank you so much. Yes. So if you love dancing, please put on your dancing shoes. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Thank you. I agree. It was a very insightful presentation. Thank you so much,
all the best,
audience, for listening. And please stay on, and let's have our next session. After listening to all of this about physical activity, please don't go. Please do stay on and join in Orlando's session. Thank you all. Next week, supplements. Please join next week for a talk on supplements. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hibbah. Thank you, Jasmine, for that amazing seminar tonight. As Dr. Hibbah said, I hope people are staying on, whether it's across Zoom, YouTube, or Facebook. Today's session, we have box exercise planned. Okay, our 4th box exercise session. We've got 3 rounds to get through, plus a warm-up, plus a cool-down. For tonight's session, you will need plenty of space, lots of water as well, because hydration is important, like Jasmine just explained, and just a nice, good fighting attitude, ready to work. All right, so time's it, 7:30 now. Let me get my tunes up. Get my tunes up. So to start us off, we're going to go get into a warm-up. All right, so we're just going to start off with some straights. All right, so that's your left and your right. Okay, let's get ready. Let's go on the drum. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Photo straight out. Go people, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Star jumps now. 30 seconds. Three, 2, 1. Okay, show me your uppercuts now. Let's go. We're gonna roll them shoulders. Let's get them shoulders loose. Keep that going, people. 3, 2, 1. Okay, give yourself 15 seconds. Quick shake off. Okay, 5 seconds. We're going straight back into our warm-up. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're gonna go. Double jab, cross. Okay, double jab, cross. You start to throw your punches a little bit harder now as you get warm, as the blood starts to flow. Let's get ready. 2, 1, go. Not going, people. 10 seconds. Three, 2, 1. Let's go hooks now. Keep that going, people. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to your star jumps now. Okay, let's go into some dynamic stretches now. Let's start off with bringing our hands while raising legs. Okay, now open the gates. Close the gates. Forward. And backwards. Okay, toss it side to side. Ready, 2, 1. Okay, people, pause for 20 seconds. And then we're going straight into round number 1. Let's go. Okay, people, join me back in the center. It's game time, round number 1. So to start off with, we've got a combination round, okay? So if you're new to these videos, if you're new to our sessions, each boxing round we do is a full 3-minute round, okay? 3 minutes of hard work. Remember, on the RP scale, which goes from 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest you've ever worked in your life, and 1 being sat on the sofa watching some TV. These box size sessions, you want to aim to be at around a 6 or a 7. Okay, so relatively hard work. If you want to go increase the intensity of that, you go to maybe an 8 or 9, then do so. Also, if you need to dial it back to maybe a 3 or a 4 or 5, then feel free to do so too. And always throughout the round, you feel like a little bit tired, out of breath. Pause for 5 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds, and then boom, jump straight back into your round. All right, so first round. For the first 60 seconds in our guard, we're going to go double jab, cross. All right, we're looking for strength, we're looking for power. All right, so really channel in from the floor, really dig in from the floor. So it's a double jab, cross. All right, remember boxing is full body, so really try and turn your hips into the punch. All right, come from the floor up. So we're here, bam, bam, bam. Really turn the hips and throw the body into that punch. 1, 2, 3, there. 1, 2, 3. All right, that's your first 60 seconds, and then we're going to add to it, people. All right, people, let's get into it now. Come on. Get into it now. Okay, if you can hear the music, we're going to go on the drop. So it's a double jab cross. 3, 2, 1, go. Come on, people. Wait 20 seconds to go. Keep it going. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's pause the clock right there. Okay, so after your double jab cross, and your left uppercut and the cross. So once again, double jab cross, left uppercut, cross. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Okay, put it together. Let's go. Got going. Keep putting it together, people. 15 seconds. Five seconds. Whoa, pause the clock right there. Okay. So let's finish the round now. We're gonna go here. 3, 4, 5, and 4. Powerful upper punch. All right, really turn the hips, really put your power and your weight into the punch. One more time. 3, 5, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's finish the round. 2, 1. Put it together. Let's go. Let's go. 30 seconds. Keep it going. $15. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and last time. We'll pause right there. Take a well-earned 45-second break, and then join me back for round number 2. Well done. 10 seconds, people. Okay, people, let's go, people. Back in the ring now. Round number 2. All right, so this round now we have a pyramid / conditioning round. Okay, so for this round, we're not going to be in our guard. We're going to run straight up. Okay, and throughout the round, we're going to be on our toes. Okay, so try and stay on the balls of your feet if you can. If not, staying nice and flat is fine. Okay, so this is a pyramid round, and it's just 3 sets of punches. So we're going to start at 2. And we're going to work our way up to 20, and then we start back at 2. Okay, so here's the punches, here's the sequence. So we're going to be on our toes. It's going to be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, we're going to add 2 every single time. So from there, it's going to be 4, 4, 4. So we're here. 4, 4, 4. Okay, stay on our toes. Okay, as you punch, you step. As you punch, you step. So 2s, 4s, 6s, 8s, 10s, go up in 2s all the way to 20. Once you hit 20, so 20, 20, 20, you start back at 2. All right, people, conditioning, pyramid round. Let's get straight into it. Come on. Ready, people? So start with 2, 2, 2, and 3. 2, 1. Let's start the pyramid. Let's go. And now. That going, people. So work your way all the way up to 20 punches of each. 1 minute gone. Keep it going, people. All the way up to 20. Halfway now, people. Keep this going now. Come on. Let's go, people. 40 seconds to go. Work your way up to 20, straight back down to 2. Seconds to go. 10 seconds. 2, 1, and time, my people. Quick break, 45 seconds, and then join me back for our third and final round. Well done. 10 seconds, people. Okay, people, join me back. Third and final round coming your way. We've got a combination round mixed in with legs. Okay. So for this round, we're going to run it in 30-second segments. Okay, so 6 30-second segments. So it'll be a boxing combination followed by an exercise move with legs. All right. So leg exercise move. So combination will stay the same throughout. It's going to be a jab cross, 4 uppercuts. Okay, jab cross, 4 uppercuts. Stay nice and bouncy and loose. 4. Okay. From there, you're going to start off with normal squats. Okay, normal squats. So 30 seconds here. And then we've got 30 seconds of normal squats. Okay, then we go straight back into our combination. All right, people, last round, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We'll start off with the combination. We've got 30 seconds. Get yourself ready. Let's go on the drop. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Keep that going, people. 3, 2, 1. Show me squats now. Let's go. Keep going. Keep squatting 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Back to your combination. Let's go. Keep going. 10 seconds. 2, 1. Now we have a squat pulse. Going to be here, small bounces. Let's go. That going, people. That going. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Last minute. Back to your combination. Come on. Keep going. Three, 2, 1. Now we have a squat. Hold, hold, down, hold. And seconds, hold. 3, 2, 1. Hard time, people. Well done, well done. Take on some water for 30 seconds, and then we're going to stretch off. Well done. Okay, people, join me back at your spaces now. Let's stretch up. Let's start with the neck. We're going up and down. Side to side. Okay, forward. Big circles. And backwards. Overall forwards. And backwards. Okay, big rotation with the hips. Nice and slow. Change direction. Front to back. Last one, let's do the quads. If you've got shaky balance like myself and hold on to something, you're going to bring the heel to the bum, keeping those knees together. Change legs. Bring it back, hold on. Change legs. Oh. 2, 1. Okay, take that off, people. Take it all off. And that's time. Well done to everyone that got involved. I'm not sure if Praise is on or Sam.
Yeah, I'm here.
Is that Sam or Praise?
Praise.
Hey, Praise, yeah, we just done. Well done, everybody.
All right. Thank you for today, and thanks to everyone that joined. See you all next week, same time. Bye for now.
Bye, people. See you next week.